Economists have known about the law of one price for 250 years? But does it hold when we order wine in a restaurant? A dedicated team of economists have researched more than 900 wine lists to find out. Purely in the name of research, of course. Hello, Kate. Hello, Pierre.
Hello, Terry.
Hello.
Now, first of all, this is all about the law of one price, isn't it? So we have to explain what the law of one price is. What is it?
So the law says that where markets are sufficiently competitive, the same good without any other differentiating factors would normally be sold at the same price.
Now, to look into that, why are you analysing wine in a restaurant? Because most of the textbooks that cover this would talk about things like the price of a new mobile phone or a bag of sugar. What's interesting about wine in a restaurant?
Well, of course, it's a result of a long time empirical interest in wine. This has been deepening over the year, but the simple answer is that we had very good data about this. There's also two aspects of wine in restaurants that makes the issue not trivial and interesting. The first one is that if you would like to drink when you eat, you essentially go to the restaurant to get a bundle, so meal and the wine. And the kind of low on one price and search for the best price in the context of bundle has not been studied very much. Some people have looked at supermarkets, right, where of course you buy a number of goods, a bundle, a basket, but people really haven't looked at the internal dynamic of the prices of the different pieces of goods that go into this basket. They haven't looked into the guts of the bundle in the sense, and that's something that we do. Also, one more thing that is interesting and special about wine in restaurant, that generally speaking, before getting into a restaurant, you kind of read the menus, you have an idea of what the food is going to be, what the price is going to be. But on the other hand, the wine list is rarely observable before you go in.
Now, to do this, you have to have a lot of data, as you say, extensive research. So which wines do you choose? Which restaurants? How do you get all the data together for this?
Our French co-authors, besides being very helpful on the project in general, had excellent access to data from a place called Wine Services. And what they do is they go around and photograph wine menus at a wide range of restaurants in 5 different cities around the world, 5 different large cities. And then they extract the information on Bordeaux wines from that. And that's what we used. The wines that they cover go all the way from normal Bordeaux up to quite iconic bottles. And the restaurants also cover normal to iconic places to eat. So that's what we use.
So this is a 2-step process I see in your paper. And step 1 is you've created what you call a homogenized price for the wines. What is this? What are you trying to achieve there?
Well, in order to really test the law of one price, we have to compare the price of things that are the same. And clearly, different bottles of Bordeaux wine sold in different places are not the same. They're different goods. So we have, before we test the law of one price, to kind of remove those differences from the observed prices. So we have to take into account the fact that, some wines might be better than others. Some restaurants might tend to charge higher price of all than others. They might have different locations, all of these effects. So we have to run what we call the hedonic price regressions that essentially tells you how the price of a bottle is affected by all of those differentiation factors. And then we can essentially deduct the effect of those differences from the observed price and have therefore a price per bottle which has been purified from the effect of those differentiation factors.
When you do this, do you get something that suggests the law of one price is holding for restaurant wine?
It depends on which part of the data we look at. So our test is basically to see if these stripped or clean prices get closer to each other as competition increases, where we measure competition in various ways. The main part of the paper uses distance, but we've used other types in our own work. We look at competition from markets defined from neighborhood up to city level. And we find that the dispersion of these clean prices increases in measured competitiveness overall when we look at the data set overall. But then when we split it into two parts, the more normal wines and the more iconic wines, we find that normal wines have this pattern of increased competitiveness, increasing dispersion. But the iconic wines actually may well behave in the opposite way.
So the iconic wine might way follow the law of wine prices, while the others don't.
So for those of us who are unlikely ever to drink a bottle of the iconic wine, what is it about the market that is increasing price dispersion here?
Well, the situation is a little subtle. So let's try to go through this. When you go to a restaurant, when you choose a restaurant for the first time, you don't see the price of wine. So you're essentially going to take into account all those differentiation factors, which is the kind of restaurant you like, and also the price of the food that you see. Now, once you go there, and if you are a connoisseur, somebody who cares about which wine you actually get, you're going to find out at what price the wine you really like sells in this restaurant, right? Now, those connoisseurs are not only people who kind of know the wine that they like, but they're also kind of repeat customers. They don't go there often, maybe they live there, or they're frequent visitors to the place. And so, from the point of view of a restaurant, I know that once you've come to my place, I would like you to come back. So that creates a bit of a trade-off in terms of how much I charge for the price that you like. If I charge it too high, so next time rather than come back, you're going to try another restaurant, right? So that's essentially the situation that you face. Now, increase competition between restaurants. The first thing that it does, it clearly decreases the price of the food. Why? Because this one can be observed. And therefore, if you have a restaurant closer and it's a little bit cheaper, you're more likely to move than if the restaurant is very far away. So it's the usual effect of competition. Now, think about the price of the wine. Increasing competition has two opposite effects. For one thing, I know that if my price is a bit too high, then it's more likely that people are not going to come back. Okay, so that would tell me that I would set a lower price if competition increases. But on the other hand, there's another effect, is that if I lose you as a customer, I don't just lose the wine, I lose the meal. But I've already told you that competition has decreased the value of the meal. So that has decreased the cost to me of losing a customer. And that effect gives me an incentive to raise the price of the wine which is targeted at the connoisseur. And we determine conditions under which this effect actually dominates.
This is counterintuitive, isn't it? What explains it? The fact that we just don't know the price of wine when we go into a restaurant.
Yeah, exactly. So that the dynamics come from the fact that one of the price comes after you've observed, you observe one of the price before you make your decision as to where you go, while you do not observe the other one, and there's repeat purchase. That's what drives these counterintuitive results.
I see. So what am I going to experience when I go out for a meal and I order wine? It's going to be different, it sounds, when I go out for a meal in the restaurants around here, or if I go on holiday and order a bottle of wine. There seems to be a different effect happening here.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because, okay, we're going to assume that you're a connoisseur. That doesn't mean in our books that you know what is a good wine is. It means that you know your taste. You know what you like and you know what you don't like. And if it's your own town, you definitely are a repeat customer. So after a while, you will have converged on a set of restaurants where you know that the kind of wine that you like is available at a reasonable price. I say a set of restaurants because sometimes you'd like to go for Mexican food, sometimes for French food, but you will find kind of a set of places where you find the wines you like at the price you like. Now, what if you go kind of one time to London, or maybe just 2 times to London? Well, the first thing is that you should not be surprised that actually the price of the bottles that you like might be quite different from one place or the other. So you face a little bit of a lottery. And at that point, it's for you, it's only luck. The good thing, though, is that London is a place where there's a lot of competition in restaurants. And while increasing competition in restaurants might increase the price of the wine that you like, it, on average, will still decrease the price of the bundle meal plus wine that you like.
The other thing is that the less expensive bottle isn't always the worst bottle.
Yeah, no, exactly. I forgot to say that. Since it's in a model, there's a bottle which is targeted to the people who don't really care. And since the difference between the bottle is not one of quality, but who likes what, if you buy, the low price bottle, it might happen to be the bottle that you like.
This is good news for people like me.
This is terrifically applicable research for people like us, it sounds, doesn't it?
We still do have to go in the field and test it in many restaurants.
One of the great advantages of the law of one price is it's easy to understand and it applies all over the place. So does this more subtle, more complex model that you have come up with, does it apply to anything else apart from wine in restaurants?
Well, the model itself, I guess there's always a choice in modeling about how close you get to the phenomenon that you're actually interested in versus how general you want the result to be. And our model is quite adapted to the restaurant setting in the sense that, like Pierre said, we're looking at the guts inside a bundled purchase, and that's not going to be working the same way in all settings. On the other hand, the paper does add to quite a large literature now that generates price dispersion as what you'd call a normal result associated with increased competition. So there was a paper many years ago in 1980 by Halvarian saying that the law of one price was no law at all. And there have been various papers that show that in temporary settings. So, for example, where there are sales events or stockouts. But our paper, along with a number of other papers now, show that this could be quite a persistent phenomenon. So price dispersion would be a standard feature.
Might be the rule rather than the exception. Yeah. And also, it would apply to other goods where you buy a basic version of the goods and then you buy add-ons afterwards. And we know, at least from a behavioral point of view, that in this case, it's people pay a lot of attention to the prices of basic goods, but not of the add-ons. Think, for example, of an Apple phone and then the prices of the apps afterwards. There's lots of research that shows that people pay a lot of attention to the price of the phone, but have very little information about what the price of the apps are going to be afterwards. So that might be applicable to this kind of markets as well.
Well, it's a difficult job, but someone's got to do it. So thank you very much for your research, Kate and Pierre. Nice to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tim.
You may be inspired to conduct your own research, so start off with the paper. It's called Price Dispersion in Wines. It's discussion paper 16784 at CEPR. The authors are Kate Rocket, Jean-Marie Cardeba, Olivier Jagot, and Pierre Régibaud. And a link to download it is on the screen now. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.